Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday, and welcome to this educational presentation where today we're going to be discussing the key to capturing huge gains. There really is a process in order to capture huge gains, or a key, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do that today. For example, let's look at this chart here. Here's an example of Netflix. Now, someone looking at this would say, well, I was interested in this stock, but kind of hit some resistance right here. And so I think I'm going to stay away. It's probably going to come back down lower, so I'll think about buying it then. So you move to the sidelines, and then look what happens. It goes straight up, right? Well, this key I'm going to be sharing with you today actually would have generated a buy signal way back here, way before you thought there was any resistance. And you could have potentially captured 190 points coming into this month, April. So this is what we're going to be discussing today, the key to capturing huge gains. And this process is very simple. In fact, it's extremely simple because it's all been developed to easily apply on our platform, the PTS Primo charting platform that actually helps you how to capture these huge gains. So welcome to this educational presentation. My name is Steven Primo. I am the president and founder of Specialist Trading. I've been trading now for 47 years. I started my career on the floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange. I was on the floor for a total of 16 years, and 9 of them I was a specialist. That's where we get the name Specialist Trading. A specialist is someone who made markets in roughly about 50 or 60 stocks. So I made markets during the crash of 87 and the bull market that followed. And then after I left the floor, I managed money and traded my own account. About 15 years ago, I teamed up with Pro Trader Strategies to develop Specialist Trading with only one goal in mind, and that was simply to educate traders. So we are first and foremost an educational company. Our goal is not to trade for you. It's not to tell you what to buy or sell, but to simply educate you so that you can make those own trading decisions. And you'll see that in today's educational presentation. Now, before we begin, we are required to share this with you, so please take a moment to view our disclaimer. I'm going to show you a lot of performance results using this edge to capture huge gains, but please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the results I'm about to share with you will be repeated in the future. And also, please remember that all examples are strictly for educational purposes only. Now, if you'd like some more education on a daily basis, please feel free to follow us on Twitter or X, however you'd like to call it. I post anywhere from 5 to 7 different snapshots of signals our methods have generated, also little bits of financial wisdom. So there's lots of great free education and information, but feel free to follow us on Twitter or X. There's our handle right there. You may want to copy that down. So as I said in the opening statements, we are first and foremost an educational company. This means that in today's presentation, you won't hear me saying anything about what I think the market's going to do. Is it going to go straight down, straight up, sideways? You won't hear anything about what the best stock is to buy, the best market is to sell short, or what the perfect time frame is, or talk about interest rates or earnings. That's not discussed at an educational company. Remember, an educator has only one goal in mind: to simply teach you how to trade. So that's my goal. Not to force feed you signals, not to tell you what I think the market's going to do the way some other websites do, but simply to teach you how to trade with the specialist edge. Now, when I was first trading roughly about 47 years ago, I struggled my first year or two, and my mentors taught me the same things that I teach my students around the world in over 115 countries in every state. This is called the specialist edge. So hopefully you'll see glimpses of that in today's educational presentation. Now, before we begin, just want to go over a few things. First of all, this course, or class, I should say, is being recorded. So if you have to leave early, or if you're having technical issues, don't worry. Each and every one of you will be sent a link to this recording. Also, if you have any questions, please write them down or try to remember them. I promise I'll get to them at the very end of today's class. So please hold off on asking questions, okay? I have a lot of slides to share with you, and I don't want to stop for every slide to answer a question. All right, with that stated, let's begin today's educational class. And I want to share with you something that my mentors taught me right from the very start. And they said, Steve, the big money is made trading weekly charts. So think about that. Now, my background is in trading short term, because on the floor, we were holding positions for a couple of minutes, maybe to 15 minutes, and that was it. But even my mentors who were on the floor said, Steve, the big money is made trading the weekly charts. That's really where you can gain this edge and go for those large, huge gains. Let me share with you some of the advantages to trading with weekly charts. First of all, When you're trading with a weekly chart, it reduces the noise. If you trade in any smaller time frame, you understand that every once in a while you go into these periods where the market goes straight up, straight down. We call that a range or a whipsaw market. Or another way to say it, it's basically noise. This is where you buy something and it goes straight down. You sell something and it goes straight up. That's noise, and that's very difficult to trade through. With weekly charts, it reduces that noise factor. So because it reduces the noise, we go to the next category, there are less times you'll be stopped out because markets aren't coming down to those stop levels, taking them out and then going back up and vice versa. So you'll be able to hold your position a lot longer without being stopped out the way you sometimes are on smaller time frames. Also, because of this, because you're not being stopped out, because you're not having to watch it every second, the intensity is reduced. There's much smaller levels of intensity. In fact, if you're intraday trading or even looking at daily charts, you're in front of your charts for a good majority of the time. But with a weekly chart, you don't have to follow it so intensely every second. You don't have to be staring at it in front of your computer. In fact, all the time. You can walk away, you can go do things, you can even work and have a position with a weekly chart. And lastly, the advantage to weekly charts is it produces this opportunity for higher gains. So this is what we're going to be focusing on today, the opportunity to catch these higher gains. There is a process, and I'm going to share with you because the process involves one of our best tools at Pro Trader Strategies and Specialist Trading. It's the PTS-XT. Now, I know a lot of you are familiar with it. I see some students in the class already of the PTS-XT, but for those of you in our course who are not familiar with it, let me go into some of the details. First of all, it's an indicator designed to identify extreme trends in advance. You see, this is the beauty of the PTS-XT. It doesn't look back in hindsight and say, oh, well, sure, there was an extreme trend here. This is where you should have gotten in. For example, looking at this chart, in hindsight, sure, we knew there was an extreme trend here. But how could we have gotten in at the beginning of that extreme trend? Well, here's what the PTS-XT does. It paints a yellow block around the bars that it says are in an extreme uptrend. So this does not look back in hindsight and repaint. On this one bar here, you would have seen a yellow block appear around it, and that would have been your signal that an extreme uptrend is about to take place. Now, the thing is, with the PTS-XT, it doesn't tell you how high it's going to go. It doesn't tell you how long it's going to last. But we teach you all these different ways in which to stay in the trade or with how to get out and how to get back in if you like as well. But this is all taught within the course. Now, as we said, the indicator is designed to identify these extreme trends in any market and in any time frame in advance, but we're focusing on weekly charts. Now, the way it does this is based on multiple proprietary indicators and their relationship to one another. Now, if you had to view these indicators and correlate with them and figure out the calculations and the relationship, it would take you far too much time. That's why we developed it, Pro Trader Strategies and Specialist Trading. We developed it into this color block that surrounds the symbols, or I should say surrounds the color bars. Now, here's the most important thing about the PTS-XT. In fact, it's official. It is our most popular trading tool because of its simplicity. It's extremely simple to apply, and I'll show you the simplest process in today's educational webinar. Okay, so let's go through this process for capturing big gains using weekly charts only, okay? And remember, you can only go through this process by applying it on the PTS Primo charting platform. I developed this with Pro Trader Strategies to actually teach traders how to trade. Remember, as an educator, my goal is not to force feed you signals and give you a nightly signal service and tell you what to buy or sell. My goal is to provide you with these high edges, with these high probability tools and techniques so that you can decide for yourself how you want to trade. Okay, step one. Just before or after the close on a Friday, because remember, we're looking at weekly charts, we want to conduct a weekly PTS-XT scan. So when we say just before, let's say it's Friday afternoon, maybe 5 or 10 minutes before the close of the day, okay? Or you can, be at your job working, come home Friday night and run a scan, or even on Saturday. It doesn't matter. It's up to you and depending on your schedule. Here's how the process works, though. On our platform, as you see here, we would go upwards of the green strategy tab with all our techniques and methods, and we find the PTS-XT Extreme Trend, okay? We would click that on, and in the drop-down menu we see here, we go down to the bottom and click on Scan. Once you click that on, you'll see this page appear, PTS-XT Extreme Trend Scan, okay? What you want to do is come over here to the far left, this area, and then click on the daily or the time frames. Now it's formatted for daily, so you want to click on this little downward arrow and you'll see the different time frames and simply click on weekly, okay? All right, so that's the time frame you're going to be scanning for. Now we want to look for the symbols or the symbol list. So we'll click on a symbol list and we provide you with different symbol lists from ETFs to NASDAQ markets to S&P 500 symbols to crypto. We'll also have currency pairs. It's up to you. And you can actually make your own symbol list if you like. But let's just pick a very common one. Let's pick the NASDAQ 100, as you see here. So it lists right here, and you'll see in the spreadsheet all the stocks in the NASDAQ 100. And then once you've done that, click on Scan. And in a matter of moments, you'll see a list here on the right of colors, okay? Now, if they're colored green like this, these are all buy setups. These are all buy setups using the PTS-XT, meaning that these are stocks, their weekly bars are within an extreme uptrend yellow block. Now this brings us to the next stage where we want to select stocks to trade that have a bar count of 1. So what does that mean? Well, remember, these two columns right here on the right are colored green, meaning that these are extreme uptrends, but the column on the right says bar count. We want to go all the way to the bottom here, and as you can see on the bottom, it goes down to 1. You can sort for these, and they can be at the top or the bottom. In this case, in the bottom. What this means is the stocks that are in a 1 count means that they've only been in the yellow block for 1 bar. And in this case, it's a weekly bar. So the first week, they have been in an extreme uptrend. And this is where you want to get in, right? Because if it's going to take off, it's really going to have a huge gain, you want to get in on the first bar. You don't want to get in up here on the 9th bar, because it may be getting close to an end. You want to get here on the bottom. So that's what we do. And then we look over to the far left and look at the corresponding stocks, okay? And then you can look at these and decide what you want to do. Now, this whole process I've just talked about has probably taken about 3 or 4 minutes for me to explain to you. Once you get the hang of it on our platform, you can do this in probably less than 30 seconds. And now this brings us to the final step, step 3, which is simply to trade. And this is another way of saying make your own trading decisions. Because once again, our job is not to tell you, well, you should buy this or you should get into this market here. No, it's up to you. Our job as an educator is to provide you with the tools and techniques to help you make your decisions. And that's what we do. And we also go into detail in that in the course. So let's look at this older chart of QCOM. Okay, it's a weekly chart, right? It's going back to November of 2023. Going through that process once again, we see here that we would have had a buy on the very first yellow bar, or yellow, I should say bar in the yellow block. And then once you decided to buy, you could have potentially captured 55 points coming into this month, okay? That's how simple this process is. That's why we said this is our most popular tool amongst our students, because it is so simple to apply. All right, so let's look at some recent PTS-XT examples. All right, I'm going to use the same process just shared with you, but these are all happening on weekly charts in order to capture these huge gains. Remember, you can only go through this process by applying it on the PTS Primo charting platform. That's the only way to scan and to find out which bars closed in the PTS-XT yellow block for the first time. That's the one you want to get in on. All right. Here we have a chart in CEG, all right? Looks like it's starting to go up, but there's no real indication that this market wants to take off. This was in January of this year. On our platform, all you would have to do is click on the PTS-XT tab right here. In the drop-down menu, click on Scan, and you would have scanned that Friday, either at the close or after the close, and you would have seen, hey, this is the first time this bar was in a yellow buy block. So you could have done your analysis after that. If you're a fundamentalist or if you're a technician, you could have decided for yourself, well, hey, this is a high probability that this thing's going to take off. And let's say you decide to buy. Well, this was at the end of January, coming into February. You could have potentially captured 70 points coming into the first week of April. See how simple this was. Let's look at another example. Here's in Netflix, okay? Can't really have much idea of what's going on just looking at these 2 or 3 bars here. But once we apply the PTS-XT, we click on scan, and we see here that we're in the yellow block. So this is the very first bar in the yellow block. So you could do your research, or you could just say, hey, listen, I like Netflix, I want to buy this. Or you can buy some options. Remember, how you decide to trade is your decision, not ours. We're not an option class. We're not a trading class. We're an information company giving you all this high probability edges. So how you decide you get into Netflix is entirely up to you. But let's just say you went long. Let's say you went long the calls. Well, the stock gained 190 points once again coming into April. Here's another example in crowd, CRWD. Here's a weekly chart. Not much information once again, but we see here that here's the very first block that was in yellow. So we decide to buy 197 points coming into the end of March, okay? Not a bad little trade there, just going off of the bar being in a yellow block. And remember, we're not looking at anything fundamental here. We're not looking at any earnings. We're not looking at what's going on economically in the country. All we're looking at is that market behavior and these indicators, these proprietary indicators, and their relation to one another. That's it. The market tells you just about everything you know. There's no need to overcomplicate your trading by looking at earnings, by looking at economic indicators. All you have to do is follow the simplicity of the PTS-XT. All right, let's look at ASML, another weekly chart. This was last year, I should say, in November. We applied the PTS-XT, and we see that here's the very first bar in a yellow block. So let's say you decide to buy it on the close of that day, or maybe you put a limit in, or we teach you all these different ways to enter within the course. Either way, you could have potentially captured 365 points coming into last month. NVDA, all right, we all know that this thing is taken off, but did you know it was going to take off last year? Well, the PTS-XT did. It developed a yellow block around the weekly bar here in mid-December. Had you chosen to buy NVIDIA then, well, guess what? You could have potentially captured nearly 500 points coming into April. All right. We all know that there was a lot of news about how great this company was doing, the direction it was going in. It's funny, before that came out last year, the PTS-XT had generated a buy signal for our students. Let's look at gold. Same thing applies in any market and any time frame. Here's a weekly chart of XAU USD. All right. Now it looks like it's starting to go up, but a lot of students would say, hey, Steve, I don't know, it's taken off. I don't know if I really want to buy this now. It's a little bit too high. But once we apply the PTS-XT, it's saying it's just beginning. The extreme trend has just begun. So this is not a time to be thinking about selling. It's time to be thinking about buying, because had you purchased there, this was in March, just a month ago, we could have potentially captured 250 basis points in XAU USD. And we could also apply this to a weekly chart of another currency pair, the dollar yen, okay? We're only looking at 2 bars here, but if we apply the PTS-XT, we see that it's given us a yellow block around this bar. So what that's telling us? It's telling us that the extreme trend is just beginning. It's not time to exit. And had you decided to buy the dollar yen, well, you could have potentially captured 335 pips coming into last week. That's over $3,000 per unit. Now, we know a lot of students and traders don't like to go short the markets, and that's okay, because you can apply the PTS-XT for going short, for developing and capturing these huge gains on the downside. But let's just say you don't like to go short, you don't like to buy puts. Okay, you can apply this as an exiting tool. Let me show you what I mean here. Let's say you're long a stock. In this case, let's say you're long BIIB, okay? Well, if it's in your portfolio and you're saying to yourself, wow, you know, I just want to be careful. I don't want to hold on too long and give away a lot of profits. Well, what you could do is apply the PTS-XT as an exiting tool, go through the same process. On our platform, click on the PTS-XT tab. In the drop-down menu, click on Scan. And instead of a yellow block, what you'll see is a red block, okay? Now, a lot of students would say, what does this mean? I thought I was supposed to be looking for yellow blocks. Well, a red block determines that an extreme trend is going to take place to the downside. So if you were long the stock and you didn't like to go short, this is your exiting tool right here. You could have gotten out and saved yourself a potential loss of 30 points. Now, if you went short and bought puts, you could have potentially captured 30 points. Let's say you were long AMC, okay? This is going back to 2023, last summer in August, okay? Let's say you got long that on these meme craze and you were doing pretty well, but you didn't know where or when to get out, okay? Well, once again, the same process applies. All we want to do is apply the PTS-XT, and we see here that using this, we would have had a sell signal on this down bar right here. Even though it closed up, you could have said to yourself, well, Steve, this is a reversal. It opened lower and closed higher, so there are buyers around. Well, that's funny because the PTS-XT said, no, this is the beginning of an extreme downtrend. So if I were you, I would exit and get out and take your profits. And that would have been a wise idea because look what happened. We all know what happened to AMC. The stock fell 60 points and you would have given away all your profit or whatever you had held on to. So this is a great exiting tool. Here's another example, okay? Let's look at Tesla. Now, we've seen Tesla lately. This is going back to January of 2024. This year, 4 months ago, right here on this bar, we saw that the PTS-XT generated an extreme trend signal. So if you're long Tesla, or if you were more aggressive and said, I'd like to go short, you could have shorted it right here in mid-January. And we all know what's happened to Tesla. We could have potentially captured, going short, captured upwards of 60 points to the short side. Or if you were long, you could have exited and saved yourself a 60-point loss. Lastly, let's look at Charter, CHTR. Same thing applies. Let's say you were long this in your portfolio. You had a nice profit. You didn't know where to get out. It's a nice $300-400 stock. What do I do? Well, same process. Apply the PTS-XT, and unless you see a yellow block, well, a red block is appearing. Okay, so it's either going to be a yellow or a red block. And if you saw a red block, well, that's your indication to sell, to get out, to take some profits, or maybe raise your stop at the very least, because look what would have happened. You could have saved yourself over 150 points. Or if you went short, you could have captured over 115 points. This is how simple it is to use this powerful, powerful tool. All right, so let's review what we taught you today. This is a simple 3-step process that you can apply to capture these huge gains. First thing, conduct a weekly PTS-XT scan. We showed you how simple it is on our platform. Just with 1 or 2 clicks, you can see what the setups are using any time frame. In this case, it was a weekly time frame. Now, you want to select stocks with a bar count of 1. This means they've only been in that yellow extreme uptrend block for 1 week. Now, if you were doing this on a daily scan, this meant it was only in an extreme uptrend for 1 day. And that's where you want to get in. Because if it's going to continue and have an extreme up move, you want to get in on that very first bar, right? You don't want to wait till the 13th, or 16th, or the 20th bar to get in. So select stocks with a bar count of 1. And you'll see this on a weekly basis or a nightly basis, depending on what time frame you're scanning for. And then lastly, and most importantly, it's your decision. You decide how to trade. I can't emphasize this enough because I've been trading now for 47 years. And the only traders I know that are still participating in the market after all these years, that are still consistent, are the ones that make their own trading decisions. They don't go to nightly chat rooms to find out what everyone is doing or buying or selling. They don't listen to the so-called trading gurus on TV. They don't wait for earnings to come out to give them an idea of what the stock's going to do. They have a simple plan in place like the PTS-XT, and they make their own trading decisions. So this is my goal, to provide you with the tools, tips, and techniques so that ultimately you can make your own trading decisions. In my 47 years of trading, this is the only way I have seen that traders can become consistent, by putting the power back in your hands. Remember, today's theme, the big money. If you're really going after the big money, you can make that with weekly charts. All right, that's because that's where you're going to have these advantages of less noise, you're going to get stopped out less, and you have these huge potential for making these large gains like I just shared with you. So ask yourself, as we go into the close here and I tell you about a great offer, do you think the PTS-XT, do you think this indicator can help your trading for the remainder of 2024? If you're struggling, if you're having a very difficult time, if you're not seeing the type of results you were promised with whatever $10,000 tool you bought, this is a great way to turn your trading around for the remainder of the year. I have a great offer for all the people attending today. And this is our trade in the express lane offer. This is the PTS-XT that generates these high probability zones, these blocks that you can apply to any market, any time frame. In fact, you can actually trade it with your current strategy. A lot of our students who are members of the PTS-XT say, Steve, listen, I don't use the techniques you teach in the course. What I do is, if my strategy generates a signal, I will only take the signal if it's in a yellow block. If it's a buy signal, I'll only take it if it's in a yellow block. If my strategy generates a sell signal, I'll only take it if it's in a red block. This, in and of itself, increases your odds for consistency, okay? A lot of our students like to build their own strategy using the PTS-XT. Lots of ways to apply it, and it gives you the confidence to pull the trigger. Now, remember, everything we saw today was displayed using our platform. That's the only way you can go through this process of scanning and finding these high probability setups. So what we're going to do is, for new customers, new students of ours who are joining the PTS-XT course, you're going to get a full year free of the platform. Now, this includes the PTS-XT plus a host of other tools and techniques that I've accumulated in my nearly 5 decades of trading. Things you won't find on any other platform. I won't mention any names, but you won't see them there because these are things I've taken from my years on the trading floor. Things like the enhanced buy-sell line to tell you what the overall trend is. Strength of trend tool to tell you when a trend is running out of steam or it has more gas left in the tank. Auto-generated exit levels. These are from a technique I learned on the floor. With one click, you'll see where these exit levels are. And a host of other tips and techniques that we can't mention here because there's just not enough room to show you and explain. But just years and years of trading that I've accumulated, these high probability tools and techniques. Now, one of the best things, like I just shared with you, is the signal scanner. For example, let's say months ago you became a student of mine in the PTS-XT course. Could have used the same process, the same key I just taught you today on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Here's a chart of the Dow Jones on a weekly time frame. Once again, this is going back to last year in 2023 in November of last year. And we've all seen that this year we've had a tremendous nice gain in the Dow Jones. The market has skyrocketed. It hasn't only been just for the last couple of weeks where the market has decided to go south. But how could we have captured those huge gains in the Dow Jones? Remember, you can use this as a market directional tool. Doesn't mean you have to trade the Dow Jones index. It means that you can use it to tell you what you think the market's going to do. So had you applied this to the Dow Jones chart, you went through the same process, click on the PTS-XT, click on scan, and you would have seen that way back in November, there was a yellow extreme trend uptrend block around this weekly chart of the Dow Jones. This was telling you that there's going to be an extreme uptrend in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And we all know, had you bought it, you could have potentially captured nearly 5,000 points, or at least known that, well, the market's still in an extreme uptrend. Maybe I'll think of buying calls or buying a stock in some other aspect because I know that the market is going higher. So there's lots of ways to use and apply this tool. You don't have to apply it in terms of buying exactly what it's generating a signal in. You can use it on ETFs, and then you can trade certain stocks or markets within that ETF that make up that ETF. So a lot of different ways our students use this with a high probability for success. So this is what we discussed with you today, the simple process, the key to capturing huge gains using the PTS-XT. So let's break down this great offer, okay? Take your trading to the next level with the original PTS-XT. This is our extreme trend indicator. And it's so funny, ever since we developed this, we've seen a lot of phony PTS-XT tools come around, a lot of copycats where they try to imitate it using the same blocks around prices. Trust me, we are the ones that developed it. We are the original ones that developed this concept. And if you see it advertised somewhere else on a different program, it's not the original PTS-XT. Okay, so let's tell you about this special extreme trend offer, okay? Now, normally, the extreme trend tool price costs $5,000, $49.95. Here's what we're going to do today. And this is a great, great offer. We're slashing that price, and we're going to offer you a one-time payment of less than $500 for $497, and then all you have to do is establish a payment plan of $97 a month. That's it. You don't have to come up with $5,000. All you have to do is come up with a one-time payment of $497 and just a payment plan of $97 per month. Now, if you still think that's too high, think of all those examples I just shared with you, okay? All those winning examples that came into the end of this month, to April, all right? Do you think you could have made or at least been able to pay for by using some of those trades? These setups are happening all the time. So even though there's no guarantee, as we said, these are highly consistent methods and setups. And I really think that this price will really, just at least encourage you to have a little bit more interest, because for less than $500, you can be up and running as early as today. Now, you can also pay in full. If you don't want to establish a payment plan, we'll slash off 10% off that normal price of $49.95 and go down to $44.95. You're going to save $500. Either way you decide to go, paying $44.95 in full or paying the one-time payment of $497 with a payment plan of $97 a month, you'll still get a full year free of the platform. So this is another $2,000 roughly in savings that we didn't count in terms of the savings that you'll get. This is a great, great offer. It's a great way to take your trading to the next level. Remember, you can only apply this process that I went over with you today using the PTS Primo charting platform. So take advantage of this. You'll get a full year free of the platform, and that includes all these other tips and techniques that I've accumulated from my years on the floor. It's a great, great offer. It helps you capture these huge gains. Here's how to take advantage of this. Contact my sister site. That's Pro Trader Strategies. I would highly recommend giving them a call at this number. There's absolutely no obligation, so don't feel intimidated to call at 310-598-6677. They have trading consultants on the phone right now. They can answer any question you have about a payment plan, or if you'd like to pay in full, they can answer questions about data or about a symbol list, and they're there to help you and to work with you. Now, that link you see at the very bottom is the link that will take you to the info page, or if you'd like to sign up online, you can do that as well. It's not a live link, but they've just posted a live link in the chat box. So if you go to the Zoom chat box there, the little chat icon, click that on, and you'll see a live link posted there for everyone to take advantage of, okay? Now, I promised I would answer any questions at the very end. If you have a question concerning the PTS-XT and the process I went over today, now's the time. Go to the question and answer box or the chat box. I promise I'll answer them to the best of my ability. Someone is asking, what if I have trouble figuring out how to use it? I'm a new trader and I don't understand everything perfectly. Not to worry, as I say in almost every week, because we have a lot of new traders always coming to our webinars, each and every one of my students gets my personal and private email address, okay? So this means you can email me whenever you'd like. You can email me a snapshot of a particular stock and ask me to review it to see if you're doing it correctly. You can email me before the opening, after the close of the market, during the weekends, during the market hours. Makes absolutely no difference. If I'm not that busy, I can probably answer in the next 10 or 15 minutes any questions you may have. But usually you'll get your answer within the next 24 hours. And remember, once again, these emails that you will send as my student come directly to me. They do not go to an assistant or to a salesperson. They come directly to me, okay? So there's no need to worry about anyone else seeing the questions you're asking. So it's the next best thing I know to sitting next to you and answering your questions for you. You can email me whenever you'd like, okay? Can you also scan intraday? Yes, you can. You can scan for an hourly chart. You can scan for a 5 or 10 minute chart. Now, I wouldn't recommend it in terms of these high, big gains because as I said, when you go to the smaller the time frame you go, there's more room for that whipsaw. There's more room for that noise that we call. So sure, you can trade it intraday, but I usually tell students, especially if they're beginning, to go no less than a 30-minute time frame just to get used to trading it intraday and to see if it's right for you. Yeah, you can trade it intraday, you can trade it weekly, you can even trade it monthly bars. You can scan for monthly bars. We provide you with all that on the scanner. And remember, you'll only get the scanner if you become a student and get a full year free of the platform. Can't do this on your own and try to figure out how to do it, okay? Can you trade this on E-mini futures? Yes, you can. I apply it to E-mini futures. So yes, E-mini futures are my main market of choice since my background is in day trading. So yes, I apply it all the time on E-mini futures. It doesn't matter what market or time frame. Now, the theme of today was how to capture these large, huge gains, and that what my mentors taught me was only using weekly charts. But if you like to, take all these short intermediate trades or intraday trades, it doesn't matter. You can apply the PTS-XT to them as well. Okay. Good questions. Any more while you have me here? Remember, this offer is a limited time offer. If you're at all interested, please watch the video. We will send this video out to each and every one of you. And if you're interested, watch it at your own leisure, but don't sit on it, because so many students do this. They sit on an offer, and then a month later they'll call Pro Trader Strategies and say, hey, I just keep losing with my method. I'd like to take advantage of that PTS-XT offer that Steve talked about a month ago. And the offer has expired. It's back at $5,000, and it probably won't even include a full year of the platform. So if you're really interested, watch the video and then contact Pro Trader Strategies at 310-598-6677. There's no obligation. You can ask them more questions about pricing, about data, about tech support, anything. They're there to work with you, and they'll give you more information and the quotes. You can just, think about it, but please do not think about it too long, or the offer will be expired, okay? Okay, if there are no further questions, I just want to go and take one last look at our disclaimer. And as you're taking a look at that, once again, thank you so much for attending. I hope you learned something, and I hope you saw the process in which we really want to teach you, because that's my goal, not to force feed you signals, not to tell you what I think personally what the market's going to do. That's for you to decide. Those are things you have to decide. So my goal as an educator is to provide you with these things that have high probabilities for success, and then teach you and instruct you how to use them. Hopefully, you'll be able to use them and turn your trading around, okay? Thank you so much for attending. I wish you all the best of luck, and I look forward to all of you becoming students of mine in the PTS-XT Extreme Trend course. Have a great Wednesday. Hope to see you in class. Bye-bye.